This week on Flicker Effect, we've got plenty of films to talk about, including Manchester by the Sea, Collateral Beauty, and Patriot Day. From the world of television, we have new shows on Amazon and Netflix to discuss, and we will have an in-depth review of Martin Scorsese's new film, Silence. Plenty to discuss. Let's get started. Hello and welcome everybody to Flicker Effect, episode number 201. We're recording this on Sunday, January 15th, 2017. I'm David Lott. Joining me this week is Bobby Jackson.
Hello.
Yasha Wilson.
Hey.
And Michelle Curry.
Hello, everyone.
Just a reminder, this podcast is available on iTunes, Google Play Music, and the iHeartRadio app. You can find us on those services just by searching for Flicker Effect. That's 2 words. These episodes are also available on YouTube. Just go to youtube.com/Flicker Effect. And there's video on there now. Last week, we tested video for the first time in a while. We've done video before. It's been some time. So last week for our top 10 show, we gave video a little shot. It seemed to go well. So hopefully it goes well again today.
Are you camera ready, Michelle? I hope you're camera ready.
I guess I'm camera ready. I don't know.
Yeah, girl. There you go.
I did my hair today.
You did it? It's done?
I did it.
Good.
It's done.
Unfortunately, Bobby and Yasha, they're just like kind of behind the curtain talking over Skype. We can't see
We're
that.
not camera ready.
You're not camera
I
ready.
am so not camera ready, it's not even funny. It'd actually be really weird if you guys could see me in what I'm wearing right now, but
Just
we're
like
just not
hanging
going to
in
get into
boxers
that.
right now.
All right, yeah, we'll say boxers.
Yeah,
Sure.
Michelle wants to get into it. So.
We'll call it
No, I'm
boxers.
kidding. Fully clothed over here. Fully clothed for the podcast.
Cool.
I don't
Whatever
know
you're
why that
comfortable
felt
in.
necessary. Oh, yeah. Definitely very comfy.
Good. All right. Sweet. Well, anybody watch Golden Globes? Did everybody watch it? Michelle and I know we saw it together.
Yeah.
Yep, I watched it as well.
I saw the highlights.
It's all the highlights. It's all the highlight reel on ESPN.
I mean, it's funny. It's like, in a way, so we did ballots for the Golden Globes because
Yeah.
I'm a nerd and I always do ballots for like the Oscars and the Golden Globes and like
I've
the
always-
Emmys and stuff. Like I always do that.
I've always done it for the Oscars. Well, not always. I mean, I've done it for a while now. I think this was the first time I'd done it for the Golden Globes.
I mean, I've done it from like the 3 big ones for the Emmys, the Oscars, and the Golden Globes. Pretty much, I would say, since college-ish.
Right.
Since they've started really getting into it and putting it online, you can print them out and do them. So I've always kind of done them. And it's hard because it's like part of you is like, okay, do I mark down what I think is going to win or do I mark down what I want to win?
That's always what you think is going to win.
Well, right. And so then it's like I start overanalyzing everything. Like I'm like, well, this show has won the last 3 years in a row, so why would they not win it this year? That would just make stupid crazy. That would be insane. Oh, they're totally going to get it. And so that's kind of my thought process. Like I'm like, oh, well, I mean, like this person did this and this is this is one of the best work they've done, da, da, da. And then I just go through and I'm analyzing every little thing. And then as the show starts up and we're like an hour into it, I'm like, I just want to rip it up and throw it in the air and go, fuck it. It's done. Not happening.
Right.
Totally suck at this. Like clearly I'm a moron. Like it's obvious. I have no idea what WTF I'm doing because I mean, God, I mean, some years I'm really bad. This year was horrific. And at the same time though, there's a huge part of me that's like, I shouldn't be surprised that La La Land basically swept the entire show. That should come as no surprise. But at the same time, I thought maybe they would kind of mix it up every now and then for some of the other things. And no, that's just definitely not what happened. And then, yeah, the TV shows, I was like, oh, well, this has gotten it for the last 3 years. They're totally going to get it for 4th year. You're like Veep and stuff. And I'm like, yeah, it's totally going to be Veep. Nope. This is going to happen? Nope. That's going to happen like that? Nope. Like everything was no pretty much the whole night. And I'm just like, I don't even know why I bother some years. I really don't.
The Golden Globes are an unpredictable mess,
Pretty
in my
much.
opinion. Yeah, because I mean, I'll fill out a ballot for the Oscars, and you can pretty much like,
Yeah.
all right, it's
Yeah.
probably going to be one of these two, or it's definitely going to be this one. I sat down with that Golden Globes ballot right before the show started last weekend, and I kind of looked at it, and I'm like, fuck, dude, I have no idea what's put on here. I mean, yeah, this one I do, and this one I do, but it was a mess. And I forget how many categories there were. I think I got 10 of them this year.
There's 25 or 26.
And yeah, I got 10 out of that, which
I
is
had
sweet. Yeah.
Woot!
I win. What do I win?
8.
But yeah, the Golden
10 out
Globes.
of 25 is not really odds.
I think there was like 5 or 6 I missed.
Yeah.
But
Well.
I think the benefit is, at least when it comes to the Golden Globes, I watch a lot of TV stuff too. So I kind of at least have a informed idea of some of these shows and what I'm going off of in terms of how I think I feel and what other people might feel. So like with Atlanta winning, I've seen the show, so I knew how good it was. So for me, that's why I thought it was going to win over something like Veep and some of the other ones that have gotten their time in the spotlight, so to speak. So I was just like, okay, that, and then Donald Glover for the show as well, because of the fact that he wrote, produced, stars in, he just has all these credits to it. So it's just such an impressive thing. So I was able to do a lot of them based on that. But then there were some, if I hadn't seen some of the things in the category, then it was like, okay, well, I don't know, but I'm going to go what I think is probably popular. So I would miss some stuff like when it came to Elle, or I'd miss things completely when it came to the one where it was Taylor Johnson, Aaron Taylor Johnson. What was that? Yeah, I hadn't seen that movie, so I was, out of the loop on it. But yeah, for the most part, I've seen a lot of it, so I was able to kind of say, oh man, maybe the vibe is going this way this year. But yeah, it usually can be very unpredictable, especially when you, like last year when you had Matt Damon winning in the comedy and
that's right.
What was it, musical for what was it?
Yeah.
The Martian, yeah.
He even made a really good joke about it too.
Yeah, that
this
was
year.
nice.
It was really good.
Yeah.
And then Jimmy Fallon was fine, I guess. It's like
Actually, that was horrific.
I don't know. I like the opening intro, but for the most part,
Yeah.
and I mean, I find that usually with the Golden Globes, the host doesn't do much of anything, and that was the nice thing about Ricky Gervais, is that at least the couple times he would get to have some time on stage, he was ridiculous enough that it was like, oh, this is funny because he's just saying whatever the fuck he wants to say. But Jimmy Fallon, he's Jimmy Fallon. He's safe. He's, I mean, I feel like every year the Golden Globes, I feel like I walk away from them going, oh, well, yeah, that person hosted, but they really didn't have much to do. Like, It's just not much of a production like the Oscars is.
It's not. I mean, but I really enjoyed when Tina and Amy did it. A couple times they've done it, and it was every time they were on stage, it was freaking hilarious, And then It was funny when Ricky did it last year. But I mean, yeah, the opening sequence was great, and then really after that, Jimmy was just meh.
Yeah.
Eh.
Well, I did like his Chris Rock joke that he did of OJ. But yeah, for the most part, it was passable. I mean,
I would say passable. It was definitely subpar.
Yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong. I wasn't overly impressed with it, but it was what it was. I've seen worse. But yeah, so Golden Globes. I guess we can move into how we normally like to start this show, talking about what we've been watching this week. Or the week before, which is basically what I'm going to do. And I never really start the segment off, so why not? I'll start it this week. And for those of you who listened to the Top 10 show last week, you know that I binge watched a bunch of movies leading up to that show. I watched 10 movies that week. And as I mentioned on the show, it was a good week of movie watching. Pretty much everything I watched was a pretty damn good film, and that showed in that 6 of those 10 films made it onto my top 10 list. So I've already talked about most of them during my top 10. One that I talked about a little bit was Lion. It was an honorable mention, because I'm pretty sure I put it on my honorable mentions list. So I don't really have much more to say about that. I talked about it a little bit last week, but yeah, I liked Lion a lot. It was an honorable mention. I kind of kept it off my top 10 list basically because of the second half of the film. I thought the second half of the film got kind of weak. And but overall, it's a very powerful story. It's a good story to be told, and I'm glad it was told. And that's why it is still a very good movie, but I just didn't think it was quite my top 10 worthy. But yeah, I watched 3 other movies that week. And I'm going to jump right into the big one first. And the big one for me is the very last film I saw. So yeah, I watched 10 films, and the last film I saw on Saturday afternoon was Manchester by the Sea. And this is a movie that's gotten a lot of critical praise. I don't have it in front of me right now, but I'll bring it up. But I think the last I saw, it was like a 98% on Rotten Tomatoes. It's crazy high. It was I believe, nominated for a Golden Globe for Best Picture. The lead actor in this, Casey Affleck, was nominated and won the Golden Globe for acting in that film. And not just Golden Globes, but I've heard a lot of praise about his acting in the film from lots of critics that I respect and other podcasters. And I mention all of this because I want to make sure that everyone's aware that I recognize that this movie is as highly regarded as it is. Yeah, I just brought it up. It's 97% on Rotten Tomatoes. And 82% from the audience. So also a very high score from the audience.
Yes.
People seem to like it.
People like it. And so I mentioned that I recognize all of the praise. And I've gone through, I feel like, a lot of emotions about this movie throughout the week. It's been a week since I've seen it. And I've kind of been all over the place because in the end, I feel like I'm just kind of waving the white flag on this one. Like, I can't help but, understand that everyone, or a lot of people, mostly everybody, is obviously having a connection to this movie. And they are touched by it, I guess, in some way. I don't know. And I guess in the end, I can't help. I'm not influenced by other critics or, other people, other friends. I mean, I see a movie and I make my own opinion of it. And I like talking about it, movies, talk about it with you guys. And sure, sometimes I, hear some, ideas about a film that make me think about it a little more and maybe have a deeper understanding of a film. Maybe I didn't have, when I first saw it. But yeah, this movie, I just feel like in the end, after this whole week of thinking about it, I'm just like, you know what? I'm kind of just letting this one go because basically I walked out of this movie and I've thought about using this word and I can't decide if for sure I should, but I feel like I kind of hated it. Like I really, really, really did not like Manchester by the Sea. And I want to be clear too, that I'm not saying I didn't like it because it was a depressing film. I've seen plenty of films that are very depressing, but at the same time, I feel like are very enlightening. And I walked away with it, with, I don't know, I walked away with it with something. And I thought it, overall, even though it was depressing, was a good film. I don't think this is a good film. I just don't. And that's just my opinion. I'm not going to try to rip it to shreds just because I'm like, you know what? Everybody likes it. I'm not judging for everybody for liking it because obviously you must have a connection to it. I guess I just didn't. But I really, really did not like Manchester by the Sea much at all. Like, I was pretty much 15, 20 minutes into this movie, and you can already tell when you're that far into this film, basically what kind of film you're getting. And I was just like, if I weren't reviewing this film, if it wasn't that it was so highly praised by everybody, and I'm like, I got to see why. I was kind of new at that point. I'm like, you know what? I'm good. I could leave right now. I really don't feel like watching this. Now, with that said, I want to be clear, too, that I sat through the rest of the film with a very open mind. Part of me was like, you know what? Maybe things are going to change. Something's going to happen here that I'm going to be something like, oh, my God. Like, I really watched this with an open mind. But in the end, no, this did not work for me whatsoever. I mean, sure, it's got its moments. And actually, for as depressing of a movie as it is, there's moments, especially in the second half of the film, which picked up a lot, that were funny, I laughed at. But overall, I just didn't enjoy this experience. The director, Kenneth Lonergan, he seems to be wanting to not only kind of tell a story about death and what it's like to go through death, but he almost kind of wants you to experience it. Like all of the kind of mundane, stupid shit you have to deal with when you're dealing with a family member who dies. And I kind of can somewhat respect that that's kind of how this story is being told. But at the same time, I'm like, I don't need to experience that. And I didn't walk away from the film with any deeper understanding or about like what it's like to go through a death in the family. Like I really didn't. I also just had very little connection to any of the characters in this movie. I mean, I'm not going to talk about spoilers of this movie, but there's a terrible thing that happens in this film. And there is, before this terrible thing happens, there's some character development that obviously is once you find out what happens, was, obviously there to help you understand how terrible this truly is. And even with that character development, like when this went down in the movie, as terrible as it was, don't get me wrong, I did kind of react like, oh, fuck. But at the same time, I had really very little, if no emotional connection to it. Like, I've heard the opinion that walking out of this movie, people have been like, oh, I don't plan to do anything the rest of the day. Like, you're just going to be emotionally done. And I'm like, I walked out, like, I'm like, well, that's over. I can go watch a comedy now. I really don't care. Like, I had no emotional connection to it. And then Casey Affleck's performance, like, again, I guess I'm waving the white flag. I don't understand why he is being praised for this performance. I thought it was kind of lifeless, and I'm sure the immediate reaction from anybody hearing me say that is going to be, well, that's kind of the point. But even with that said, and I get that this character is obviously a kind of a lifeless person, there are times when he has to show emotion, and even in those scenes, Casey Affleck he's just Casey Affleck. It's just nothing to me. And I mean, don't get me wrong, it's the Golden Globes, but like when he won a Golden Globe for Best Actor, I'm just like, I mean, again, I told myself, well, it's the Golden Globes, but I'm like, I don't understand. Like, no. So Manchester by the Sea, I didn't like it all, but I recognize that apparently a lot of people did have a connection to this, and that's cool. So I'm kind of like, you know what? I'm done with it. Like, I'm never going to watch that movie again. There are plenty of movies I've seen that I didn't like, but then, a lot of people were like, no, it's really good. Trust me. And then I think I'm like, well, maybe I was just having a bad day when I watched it. Maybe I was just in a bad mood. Who knows? I'll give it a second chance. I really have no intention of ever seeing this movie again. If someone asked me, my thoughts, I would tell them the truth, but I would always say like, hey, I hated it. This is why. But just so you know, everyone seems to think it's a good film. So maybe you should see it. I don't know. But yeah.
You get zero argument from me on absolutely every point you make. Casey did nothing for me. The major event in the movie, while as horrific as it was, I didn't tear up. Like, it's not right. Like I literally was like, oh my God, Jesus. Like, my emotions are so welling over with, so sad. Like, no, it's not. I had zero connection to it. And I did leave the theater feeling funky and after the film, and it wasn't like, oh, I feel like my emotions have just been through a roller coaster and just torn to shreds and shit. No, it was really more like, I'm really pissed I just lost all that time in my day today.
Right.
I'm really kind of pissed I sat through that film. I'm angry that that's what I just watched, and I didn't like it. Like, I didn't, not even like, oh, I didn't like it, but it was not like the end of the world. It was like, oh my God, I really lost like the front half of my day that day. And I was kind of pissed. I was like, damn it, I'm not happy at all. Like, I give zero arguments to anything you said. I agree with you so much about that film. And I remember I felt really bad when I first reviewed this film because it has so much praise. And it was nominated and this and yada, yada. And I get it that that's what everybody else thinks. But I felt really bad that week that I did review this film because I was like, I hated it and you hadn't seen it. And then I think Bobby just saw it too. And nobody here on the show had seen it. And I kind of felt bad going, I didn't like it at all. And you guys were like, really? And I'm like, no. So,
yeah. Isn't it weird how we all have those movies that, it's just universally praised. Everybody seems to love them. And then you just watch it and you're just like, well, why? If this just sucked up my life and I have no way of getting that back, and now I feel that much more miserable after watching this movie. And I'm not attached to the fact that this movie was so emotional. I'm attached to the fact that I am seriously distraught and sad that I have spent my time watching this movie.
No.
That's how I feel about Transformers.
I knew you were going to say that. I knew you were going to say that, Bobby.
Well, thanks for teeing that up for me, Josh.
Notwithstanding, and I knew you were going to say it. I was even going to put a little tidbit in there, like notwithstanding Bobby expressed probably how you feel about Transformers. But, I can think of a couple of movies that I felt the same way. Like the one with Sandra Bullock where she was in space. Like, I did not really enjoy that movie. Like, I sat through it and I was just like, this is so boring. This is so over the top. The symbolism is just so ridiculous. It's killing me. How is this getting so much praise? So it's like, I get it. And there's in other movies, I'm not going to get into this whole thing about all the movies that we hate or we haven't liked over the years, but I just think it's weird that we all have movies like that where it's like you just walk out and you're just like, I don't understand. Can somebody explain to me why this movie is so praised? Yeah. I'm really confused.
Yeah, I mean, I walked out just going, did I watch an incorrect film or version of this film? Like, I literally was like questioning myself, like, am I crazy that I did not like anything about this film? Like, I literally was like I'm in my car, like driving home going, something wrong with me? Like, what is wrong with me that everybody just, and then I'm like reviewing everything in my head, like all the love it gets from reviewers and other podcasts and all the nominations for the Golden Globes because they had already come out. Like, I was just like, did I miss something here? And I was like questioning myself. I'm like, no, I guess I just feel the way I feel, and that's just how it is.
Yeah, and it's different. You know, for instance, a few weeks ago, I talked about Edge of 17, and I kind of had the same reaction as in, you know, Edge of 17 is definitely getting some praise. I mean, I didn't really see it on many top 10 lists, one or two here and there, but it's getting some praise. And when I saw it, I was bored with it for the most part. But at the same time, it's different because like Edge of 17, that was what I feel like. It was a fine movie. I just didn't think it was nearly as good as everybody else did. But like, it's different in that with that film, like, I use the white flag reference. Like, I'm not waving a white flag on that because I just truly don't. All of you that liked Edge of 17 to a point you thought it was one of the year's best films, I do not get you at all. Like, I'm sorry. That was not that good of a movie. Like, this film, it's like, I guess I could see based on the subject matter with Manchester by the Sea that there is some emotional connection people are having with it that I guess I just didn't get. I guess I just didn't relate to it. I don't know. I mean, it's not that I've never had a death in the family. I have. But I don't know. Just nothing about this talked to me. It just didn't talk to me at all. But Bobby, yeah, you also saw it right before top 10, right?
Yes, I saw it that week that I saw 5 movies, or that day I saw 5 movies. Oh,
that's right. Your little theater jumping.
Yes.
So, your thoughts on Manchester by the Sea? You did mention it in the honorable mentions, right?
I did. And I'm curious, did you, because I think what you did for Edge of 17, did you do the same for Manchester by the Sea in that you knew that it was a movie that was being praised by a lot of people, but you kind of looked around and maybe on Rotten Tomatoes or somewhere and looked to see if you saw someone that mirrored your own thoughts? Was there anyone out there that? Yeah,
I did do that to a point. Like, when I went and saw Edge of 17, and then I went on Rotten Tomatoes and I saw it scrolling through all the reviews, and it's easy to tell which ones are rotten. So I was able to find a couple critics that are even their top. They have some critics that I don't know how they label them top critics. I don't know why, but they're from, I guess, more major outlets. And I was able to find a couple that I was like, yeah, this is a top critic, and I would read his review. I think one in particular was from the Village Voice, and I was like, everything this guy's saying, right on the money. Like, this guy is pretty much feels exactly about this movie as I did. So I did the same thing after Manchester, and I scrolled through Rotten Tomatoes. And sure, I mean, it's not 100%, so there are some rotten reviews, but all of them came from like very much more obscure outlets. And to be honest, I didn't bother reading any of them. Like, I probably should have. I just, at the time, I think I was probably prepping for the top 10 show, and I just had to move on to other things. I don't know. But I definitely couldn't find a negative review from like a major critic, like, at all, from what I could find.
Starts making you kind of question like payouts and.
I mean, I hate to say
friendships and loyalties.
And I mean, obviously, Bobby, you're about to talk about it. Obviously, you put it on your honorable mention, so you must enjoyed it to a point. So I mean, no disrespect to you whatsoever, what I'm about to say, but I have to say, like, from my experience after I walked out, based on how I felt about this movie, it's hard for me to not think like, hey, like, with so many critics loving this, is there not at least just some influence from how everyone else is thinking? Like, I really feel like if this movie hadn't come out of Sundance, because it was a Sundance film, right? I mean, from my understanding, it was like pretty much considered the top film at Sundance last year. And if it hadn't been at Sundance and everybody hadn't been talking about it, and this was just a movie that maybe got a smaller release and somebody saw it, I feel like if a lot of these critics saw it and really knowing nothing about it ahead of time, I just really feel like it wouldn't have gotten the praise it had gotten. I don't know, but
it might not have gotten as much traction. That's for sure.
Yeah,
I feel like there was a big bandwagon happening here. It was very.
But Bobby, yeah, you obviously enjoyed it much more than I did, and Michelle.
Yeah,
so I am very curious your thoughts on Manchester by the Sea.
Yeah. So when you say that, okay, I take into everything you and Michelle have said about it, and I totally get what you're saying. And then when I watched it, I obviously went in with the same sort of mindset in that this movie is being highly praised. People are really loving it. It's going on top 10 lists. It could win some awards. So let's see what all the fuss is about. And I came out of the movie thinking that this was a good film. And I think where I came at it from the standpoint, which makes me want to go back and look at the other critics' reviews, is that when I say it's a good film, I mean that it was put together well. It was a movie that I felt like really highlighted the aspect of what they call the spectacular within the mundane. And it's something that isn't always easy to pull off in film, where you're basically kind of taking a snapshot of someone's life and taking you through their day or through a week or whatever period of time that there is. And that's what I thought the movie excelled at. It really gave you a portrait of this family's life and their grief that they're going through in a way that it looks like you're just eavesdropping on a family that could be in any town USA. And yet it happens to be in a specific place. But it just really felt like it was an effortless way in which it was put together. On the flip side of that, it was not a great story to me. And the people that I was watching this snapshot about were very uninteresting. So it's like, as a story, it was meh, but as a good film, I actually thought it was put together well and accomplished the goals in which they set out to do to make the film. So that's why I kind of said and put it in my top list or in my honorable mentions, because I thought it was a good film from a technical aspect and the way they made this story out of something that's so mundane. But and the other side of it, I agree in terms of some of the things you said. As far as Casey Affleck, I don't know much about Casey Affleck in his real life or what type of person he is, but to me, his performance, it just felt like it. I don't know this guy, but it seems like if the cameras weren't rolling, he would kind of be that guy within the film that you see. And so it didn't feel too much like he was acting. It just felt like an extension of himself that we were seeing. So it didn't feel like he had any particular range. He was given one mode to play in, and then that's kind of what he did. And so I've seen him in other things, and he's been fine in those other things, but I didn't see how this was the one exception to where he's outshined any other role that he's ever been in. So I just find that the praise for him in particular, especially stacked against other actors in the category, I don't really see the recognition that it's getting there. One person that did shine to me was Michelle Williams. Now, she has a scene with Casey Affleck towards the later part of the film, and it was pretty visceral, and I could feel every ounce of emotion through her character in that scene, and I thought it was really, really well done. But aside from that and some other key moments, I think it was just an okay story. It was not anything spectacular or anything that would, like, I don't know, be Oscar worthy when you look at all aspects of a film. So to me, the fact that I think that it was a well put together film in the way that they did it, I think that's only one aspect of what a film should be, to be completely worthy of Oscar praise and everything else. I mean, otherwise, you should just highlight the performances within the film and not the film as a whole itself. So that's I don't know if that makes it clear as to what my thoughts are. I thought it was good from a technical standpoint, but from a story standpoint, it was just whatever. A little bit, not bad. I didn't think it was bad. It's just like you said, the characters were a bit flat to me. I didn't really care too much about most of them, but I can understand what they were going for, and I think they achieved very well what they were going for. So I guess that's kind of in a nutshell how I felt about it.
And I get it. I mean, I just didn't have that experience with it, but it's not like your opinion on it. It's like it's anything I could argue with. And that's kind of how I feel about all the reception it's getting. I'm like, I don't get it, but okay.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, like I meant to look up earlier, like we mentioned, Casey Affleck won Best Actor in Drama at the Golden Globes. And I mean, he was competing against Denzel Washington and from Fences, Viggo Mortensen from Captain Fantastic, Andrew Garfield from Hacksaw Ridge. I mean, these are all films I haven't seen. I haven't seen actually any performance other than Casey Affleck's. But from my understanding, based on how you guys have talked about like Denzel Washington and Fences, and from what I've heard about Andrew Garfield and Hacksaw Ridge, like I'm just like, really, like I was flabbergasted when he won that award.
I mean, it really blew me away, kind of. I mean, because Denzel's performance I thought was pretty masterful. I mean, that was like watching class. Like it was literally like going to school and learning how to do drama. Right. It was spectacular. And Viggo Mortensen in Captain Fantastic, which is a movie I really enjoyed, highly enjoyed. And his performance in it is really good because this is a guy that, is a guy who's living on a fringe thought process and it's not anywhere near the norm. And his intelligence is off the charts. And he's trying to make a hard situation relatable to his kids and understandable to his kids while still also being within the confines of the way he thinks and the way he wants them to be raised. And so you're watching it and like his performance is really, really good. Like it's really, for somebody you shouldn't be relating to, you're like, I get him completely. And so it's like, I watched that performance and Denzel's performance, and to see Casey's performance, it was just like, what? It was like, no.
Right. But I mean, we spent enough time on it.
Yeah,
like I said, I'm not going to sit here.
And there's our featured review of the week.
Yeah,
right.
kind of. I don't know. It was just such an interesting experience to see a movie that was so praised, and then to have such an opposite reaction to it. To just, I don't know. I've just, like I said, I've been thinking about it all week. I went through the emotions of being kind of angry about like, what the fuck is wrong with you people? Like kind of feeling, And then now I'm just to the point where I'm like, well, obviously, I guess I give up. I can't really find many people who don't like it. I have no one to relate to here. I
felt so much better when you said you didn't like it. Oh my God. Like I was really like, cause I mean, I didn't like it so much. And then, but at the same time, like I really want you to go see it because I really want to know what your thoughts are.
Right.
And so when you're like, yeah, I think you actually did say, because it was pretty fresh off your block, you're like, I hated it. I was like, thank you, Jesus, it's not just me. Like I was just like, oh my God, I thought it was me. What's been wrong with me? And I was so mad at all the critics and everybody. I was like, I don't understand. And so I was like, it was literally like, oh, thank goodness, I'm not alone. There's somebody else in this 1%, excuse me, 3%
right.
that is with me. Thank you.
But and I wish I could have like polled the audience after I saw it in the movie theater. I was just so curious to know what everyone in there thought, and then that's when I thought, oh man, I should jump on Rotten Tomatoes and see what the audience score was. I was expecting it to be much lower than the critic score. No, it's pretty good.
So dude, it's right there.
Dude, yeah, for an audience score, that's high.
It's pretty good.
Yeah,
I'm like, well, again, I guess I give up.
Yeah.
Like. I wipe my hands of Manchester by the Sea. I'm never going to see this movie again. I'm done with it. I can just hope that at the Oscar nominations, it kind of gets left out. I know that won't happen, but I can dream. But yeah, I knew I was going to talk about that for a bit. I've got a couple more movies. I'm going to go through these pretty quickly. I don't have much to say. But also the week before Top 10, I saw The Witch. I believe The Witch came out pretty early in the year. I want to say it was like around February last year. And that was a movie I for sure was really excited to see. In fact, I might have even been on our last Top 10 show that I was like, hey, one of my most anticipated movies of the next year. I'm like, I want to see The Witch. Like, it looked really good. And I was seeing it pop up on a lot of Top 10 lists as well. I made sure to watch it before we did our lists. I'm definitely going to pull the expectations card on this one and just say, I think I was just expecting to have a different experience than I had. So I definitely finished it feeling like, oh, I mean, okay. But I've been trying to do my best to kind of somewhat relive the film in my head since I saw it, since I haven't watched it a second time. And don't get me wrong, this is a good movie. I do like The Witch. I think it's actually a very good movie. It's just, again, I don't know. I was expecting a kind of a different experience. It's not particularly frightening or scary. I'm sure some people do find it that way, but I definitely didn't really much at all. But it's just an interesting story told in old, like, settler America, which, I mean, I love American history, so that was kind of fascinating to watch. And listening to them talk was, kind of cool because they're using very old English. And there were definitely times where I'm like, wait, what are they saying? What the fuck? But it's a good film. I just didn't think it was as good as some people are, and it definitely wasn't near my top 10. But I don't know. I would recommend, if anybody hasn't seen it, I would recommend it, but just be warned. It's not necessarily going to be a movie you're going to end and be like, oh my God, I got to watch a comedy now, or I'm not going to be able to sleep. Like, it's not like that, And then I saw Hunt for the Wilder People, and that was also a very good movie. It could have maybe made an honorable mention for me. I thought it was a very good film, but yeah, I don't know what else to say about it. It's kind of cute. It's funny. It's from Taika Waititi, is that how you say his name? Who is directing Thor Ragnarok right now. And it's a good movie. Just also didn't make my list. So
I would say one word that I would use to describe The Witch, which is why I think I really enjoyed it so much, is that it's unsettling, because
it is.
It's not, like you said, scary or frightening or jump scare type things, although there's some elements in there, but it's just a very unsettling film when you watch it, and the things and how they go down and some of the other aspects. And what's his name? Black Henry or Black something is kind of creepy as well in the film, but yeah, I think you probably know what I mean. But yeah, and it's just an unsettling film that after you finish watching it, you're just like, for me, it kind of stuck with me after watching it. It made me think about it even days later, because it was just kind of on that level of like, that's such an odd and weird thing, and yet it doesn't feel like the same sort of typical horror film. So I think that was another reason why a lot of people enjoyed it. It just wasn't the same usual experience you get when you go watch a horror film.
But yeah, like throughout the week when I was watching all these movies, I was posting on Instagram and Facebook about what I had been watching, and of all the movies I posted about, The Witch got the most comments on my Facebook, and every one of them were negative.
Usually is.
Yeah, everybody was like, skip it, don't bother, it's bad, it's a waste of time. So I was like, fuck, like now I'm curious. And I get it, because I kind of felt that way after it was over, just because I was expecting, again, to have a different experience than I did. But I don't know, in the end, it is like a movie. I could see watching it again. In fact, I'd kind of like to watch it again. And by the way, the character was Black Phillip.
Yes, Black Phillip. Ugh.
Yeah. So yeah, I didn't get a chance to watch anything else this week other than Silence, which we'll be reviewing later. But yeah, those are some of the movies I watched before our top 10 that I didn't get a chance to talk to on our lists, because it didn't make my list. Moving on to you, Bobby. You've been watching a few other movies.
Yeah, I have. And my first movie I'm going to talk about is, oddly enough, sort of on the list of me being the opposite of the way you guys were. So with Manchester by the Sea, it was a movie that critics loved and people seemed to love, and yet you guys were in the minority of being like, well, I don't get it. And I'm feeling the same way for Collateral Beauty, which is a movie that the critics didn't love and the audiences didn't seem to love. And I watched it and I was like, I liked this movie. It was actually different than what I was expecting, but it seemed to pull off what it was going for as well. And I think I haven't read any critic reviews or any the regular people reviews, but I suspect maybe they were going into it looking for it to be something, and then when it wasn't, they reviewed it on the ideas of possibly what it wasn't. Um, there's a great cast in this movie. You've got Will Smith, Kate Winslet. Who else is in there? Keira Knightley, Michael Pena, Helen Mirren, Naomi Harris. Did I say Ed Norton? I think I said it. But the cast is great, and I thought like this movie is Will Smith. His character is going through grief that his daughter has passed away, and so he's been writing letters to the ideas of love, time, and death, and then he gets visited by these physical manifestations of those things, love, time, and death, and it's kind of like a modern day Scrooge in a sense, and it's interesting in its concept, and I thought the movie is it was better than I thought, like in the way that there's definitely aspects to it that didn't go the way that I thought they were going to go. And so when that plays out, you're like, wait, what a minute, or wait a minute, what is this? What's going on now? And yet it kind of all ties itself up in a way that I thought was done pretty well. And it's a weird kind of movie because it's like I really can't say too much about it without giving certain aspects of it away. But I think that if you go into it just with minimal knowledge of what it is about and watch it on the merits of just what you see in front of you, you might enjoy it more than I think it's getting the rap for. So I'd be curious as to if a year from now or at some point in time when this comes out on video and people have a chance to see it and kind of look at it through fresh eyes, so to speak, if the opinion on it will change somewhat.
And yeah, you look at, in this instance on Rotten Tomatoes, and yeah, it's at a 12%, but I mean, the audience scores at 69. It's actually not bad.
That's actually pretty good.
It's actually
like I said, for an audience score, any audience scores on Rotten Tomatoes that are over like a 45%, that's actually pretty good because that means people are reviewing it and enjoying it at the same time. It's like, sometimes there's just no feedback from audiences, really. That's pretty decent.
So yeah, it's not like you're completely alone. Probably
No, that's
a few other audience members that seem to like it. I haven't seen it, and yeah, I can't imagine I'm going to see this in theater. I'm sure I'll maybe someday probably see it on video, and I'll be curious when I do see it, probably months from now, if I have that kind of reaction. I'm like, oh, okay, it's not that bad.
You saw it, Youngster?
I did. I saw it.
When did you see it?
I thought I could have sworn I talked about it at one point when we were on the show. Maybe I didn't, but yeah, I saw it. I took my girlfriend and my mom to go see the movie, and I think we all liked it. This doesn't really give anything away. If you've watched the trailer, you'll kind of get the premise. But Bobby, that's pretty spot on with the whole kind of almost like modern day Scrooge telling of the story. But it's inherently sad. The movie's an hour and 37 minutes. I really do believe my girlfriend cried for the last hour of the movie. So like 37 minutes in, it was tears. And that's pretty much it. Because there was parts where I welled up a little bit. I was like, wow, this is really sad. But that being said, it was a good movie. Like, it was entertaining, I guess, if you can say, after saying that it wasn't, a really, really sad movie, but it was good.
It's funnier than I thought it would be too. Like
at parts, yeah. At parts, yeah. Definitely at parts.
Especially with Ed Norton's character.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, anything else?
Yes. I saw Jackie, and that was one of the movies that I saw on that 5-day quest of trying to fit everything in for our top 10. And and I know that this movie made yours and Michelle's top 10 list. And so obviously you guys liked it quite a bit. So yeah, it's weird because now I'm feeling the one left out of the group because I didn't really enjoy the movie, actually. For me, I guess the thing that really pulled me out of it, a lot of times was Natalie Portman. And I'm very mixed about the way I feel about this movie. I'm still trying to process it, even as I'm talking about it now, because there's times within the film that are so beautifully shot and inserted so well within the confines of the storytelling that it's super good. And then there's other times where I think Michelle kind of hinted at what my overall problem is within the film is that I think she said, and correct me if I'm wrong, Michelle, but I think you said it took you a good 20 minutes or so to really get into Natalie Portman's portrayal of Jackie. Mm-hmm. And I think that's where my sticking point lies, is because I don't think I was ever able to fully get on board with her portrayal, because sometimes I would be watching a scene and it felt like I was watching the performance rather than it being just her being Jackie. And then other times it totally felt natural and it was her as the character, and I could see the character shine through. So, and I don't know if sometimes that was due to the fact that there's a lot of close-ups in this film, and particularly on Natalie Portman. And there'd be those times within that performance that she's got a close up and she's doing her thing, and I'm just seeing literally Natalie Portman, and then it's like, like get out of there. Like, that's in my head. I'm thinking, get out of there. Like, see the character, see what she's doing. And I couldn't at times. And so it was just like I'd phase in and out of being able to believe what I was seeing on screen. That being said, there were still throughout the movie really expertly done times where the emotion comes through, because what I really kind of got from this movie, and it's very, very odd in that a lot of movies from Christmas and still maybe within the lingering week or two of what we have going on now, there was a lot of films I watched that dealt with grief in one form or another, in different ways of dealing with this grief. And I think what I saw in the film Jackie, which puts me on the other side of why I enjoyed it so much, was that this was like watching a movie in the aftermath of someone dying, and that person, everything that they do after that point is all within the realm of being in shock. And it seems like a lot of the decisions she was making, she was not specifically thinking them through clearly, which made me even think a little bit beyond this movie and in real life terms, is that I don't know if it was different back then or if it's still the same today, but it seems as though, like, in that situation, the first lady probably has more power than she probably should to be able to make decisions upon things, because if someone was in shock, shouldn't they get grief counseling or something after that, to where they shouldn't be allowed to make decisions because they might not be in their right mind? And so all these different thoughts were going into my head as I was watching it, which made me like it. And then there was like the aspects of it to where Natalie's performance was pulling me out of it. But then also after it, I did some research because I don't know Jackie Kennedy as well as a person that I should. So I went back on YouTube and I watched the Kennedy tour on YouTube to see how it was. And she really did do a good job in terms of her mannerisms and her speech pattern of being how Jackie Kennedy was. So I definitely give her that. I'm just saying that at certain times for me, especially before I got a chance to watch that video, that it felt like more I could see some of the performance acting in it as opposed to it just feeling natural. But so that's where I'm kind of at with it. I'm still sort of really processing it and thinking in terms of how much I liked it or disliked it. So I'm sort of still mixed on it.
Gotcha. Anything else?
Yes. Monster Calls. I saw that as well. And that's the one with Liam Neeson. And he plays like a tree monster. What's that?
I was joking. Doesn't he play Groot in that one?
Oh yeah, well, I was about.
I'm just so funny. I can't help myself.
You just stepped on my joke. Fine, take it from me. Whatever. No, honestly, okay, and Felicity Jones is in it as well, and is directed by Jay Benya, Bayona, who's going to be directing the next Jurassic Park film as well. And who else was in it? Sigourney Weaver and Toby Kebbell. And it's about this boy who his mom, played by Felicity Jones, is sick, and so his way of sort of dealing with it is through this creation of a creature that he has created, this monster, and helping him go through his grief. And it's so funny because did you mention the whole group thing? Because there is a weird sort of parallel with the Guardians of the Galaxy in the sense that this kid, in an odd sort of way, he's a little bit like Star-Lord because his mom is sick, and yet he's having a hard time dealing with it. And within Star-Lord, he has his music to kind of help him get through. And in this guy, he has, like you said, kind of like a Groot monster to help him get through it. And the film is very beautiful. It's done in a way that, based on the budget, it seems like they were able to pull off a lot in terms of what they were able to show and how it was filmed and shot. And the monster looks really good. And you get these elements within the story of how he's going through and dealing with this tragedy of his mom's terminal illness. So it's a good film, but I didn't see it putting it on my top 10 or anything where it was like super superb. I just thought it was a really solid film. And yes, once again, it's one of those movies that if you go into it, you'll probably be either depressed or feeling pretty sad afterwards because
awesome. You totally selling me on this one, man.
Well, it's still one of those movies that I think that if you like the way something looks and the story matter is something that's solid because it was told well, everything about it is good. I think it's still worth seeing if you're a fan of film. It's just going into it, you got to know it's the subject matter doesn't lend itself to being very cheery and
right.
Positive sort of thing.
Gotcha.
But I tend to get something out of it that other people don't when movies are like that. Like I'm the one guy that I know and in general that likes that thought the ending of The Notebook was good. Most people think it was sad and sort of like depressing, but I kind of thought it was good and hopeful in a way. But anyways, that was what I thought of Monster Calls.
Awesome.
And the final film that I saw was Patriots Day, starring Mark Wahlberg, directed by Peter Berg, the two Bergs, as they say. And this is the story of the Boston Marathon bombing and the aftermath that goes on within the search for the bombers. And this film's been getting a lot of praise as well, and good reviews. And I thought it was decent. It was nothing spectacular. I thought the first part of the film started off kind of, I don't know, you could see the structure of the movie in the way that it felt like one of those disaster type films, whether it's Independence Day or 2001 or whatever. Was it 2001? 2010? The other one with Jake Gyllenhaal was a disaster film, and The Day After Tomorrow. That's what it was.
There you go.
Yeah, I
got there
too. It felt like that, where you in the beginning you see the different people that are going to be involved within the story, and then the incident happens, and then
right.
You deal with the incident. It had that sort of structure to it. But honestly, once you get to the part where the bomb goes off and things start to happen, the movie really heats up, and it becomes something that you really get compelled to watch and involved in as you're trying to see this manhunt go down and trying to get the city encouraged to be a part of it and being able to capture these two bombers. And I think what most people are really pulling from this and getting from the movie as a whole is the ending in terms of seeing these people in real life and seeing them sort of tell where they are today and their events and stuff like that, which was well done, almost in a document format in a way where you're just seeing them interviewed and stuff like that. So I think that's where people are really kind of coming away from it with such a positive review, is just seeing these people in real life and seeing what they actually went through and how they're doing today. And the other parts of the movie were solid, but nothing I would say is really above the fray, so to speak. But it was a solid movie, decent movie to go see.
Gotcha. Well, thanks for those reviews. Yasha, you saw a couple new shows on TV, right?
I did. I went ahead and started Sneaky Pete, starring Bryan Cranston and Giovanni Ribisi. Not much to say about this. It's about a con man that gets out of jail. He kind of takes the identity of one of his people that he was locked up with and takes to try and get away from the big bad guy, which is Bryan Cranston. There's no secret or spoiler there. He decides to kind of adapt to this guy's family. And so far, it's just the adventure of watching him try and stay out of trouble, pay off this guy. And that's the premise of the show. And so far, I like it. I mean, it has some of my favorite actors in it. Giovanni Ribisi is definitely one of my favorite actors. Bryan Cranston is as well. And they're both fantastic in the movie. I mean, the show. I mean, we haven't gotten a chance to really see really unwind, or let loose, I guess you could say. And so far, I'm just enjoying it. It's long. It's like an hour drama on Amazon, and so far, it's really, really good. I'm digging it.
Nice. I've heard good things about it. Not much about it, just fun. Like that it's getting pretty high ratings. So.
Yeah. What's fun is we've talked about this before, how you find shows or movies and stuff like that and you watch them and it's just the predictability of them is really high. You're just like, oh, I can totally predict or see where this is going.
Right.
A lot of the times with this, it's like I find that it's not until the very last moment when I realize, oh, this is where they're going to go with it. But the direction on how they get there is kind of obscure, if that makes sense. So it's like sometimes I guess right or I predict right, but a lot of times I'm predicting right, but I just don't know how they got there. And then they show you how they get there or what they do, because this guy is a criminal. So he's a con man. He's a confidence man. So he goes around and he pickpockets people, runs cons and everything like that. And watching him work to try and stay out of trouble by essentially digging a bigger hole for himself to get into is really kind of interesting. It's fun.
Cool.
I really dig the show, and if you like any of the actors that I mentioned or the premise sounds good, I would definitely recommend it. And the next one that I watched is Lemony Snickets with excuse me, Neil Patrick Harris and Patrick Warburton as the narrator for the show. What to say? I'm not gonna lie. I kind of dozed off the first episode. It was kind of slow. It was kind of slow for me, but I came back and I watched it, and it's good. It reminds me a lot of. Oh, I had this director in my head. Michelle, you would know him. You really like this director. He directed The Manchester Hotel. Does that sound familiar?
Manchester Hotel.
I think that's what it's called. Manchester. No, you know what? I'm sorry. I'll come back to it if I remember. Okay, I know it or cool. Remember. Bill Murray's in a lot of his movies. What is the?
Oh.
Okay. I had this all geared up, ready to mention, and I can't remember what the guy's name is.
The Grand Budapest Hotel.
Talking about Wes Anderson.
Grand Budapest Hotel. Yes. Grand Budapest.
Wes Anderson?
Yeah. I love how
Wes Anderson. Thank you.
Oh, Bill Murray. Yes.
I had it all geared up to say that. I was all ready to say that, and I couldn't remember what it was. I was like, I made that association.
It's cool. We got you. All right.
Back to what I was saying.
It's Wes Anderson-esque.
Yes, Wes Anderson. Watching this show reminds me a lot of Wes Anderson's directing, because there's a lot of everything seems like a scene in a play. It's very one shot, and there's all these solid colors, very like roll on, roll off type of behavior with, the changing of the scenes almost. It's just, it all seems kind of it's very fictional, but you're just watching it for the story, if that makes sense.
Right.
Like I said, it's just a lot of very solid, bright colors, that go with the tone of where they're trying to talk about. Like when they're talking about, death, it's obviously very gray. When they talk about the children, it's very bright. Or, if it's just a scene with the children, it can be very bright, or, anything to stuff to that effect. And Neil Patrick Harris is fantastic. Like you see him in the role, but he has adapted so much into the role. I'm really looking forward to getting further into the story where you can see him just kind of portray all these different characters that you know he eventually will. He's fantastic. He's just an amazing talent, and he is killing it so far. I'm two episodes deep, so I can't really speak to the rest of the show, but so far I'm really, really enjoying it. And Patrick Waterburn, is very good as well. But he's the narrator, so he's talking directly to the audience. And the last one that I watched was The Invitation, based off of everybody else's review and seeing this movie and putting it in their top 10 last week. This movie was very, very twisted. I mean, it was like you said, David, I think you said if you can get past the beginning part of the movie and then you get towards the end, you'll be fine. And that's literally what it is. It was very, very slow to begin with, very slow to start. You're kind of expecting things to happen and it's not really happening. But once the ending finally catches up and you realize what's going on and you realize where this is going, yeah, this is one fucked up movie. And I watched it like right before I went to bed, and I actually had to put something else on to like this is really twisted. And I thought it was twisted. I mean, it was good, but it was a really messed up story. And I don't know if I would put it in one of my top 10, but I can see why you did. And I'm not going to give any more away, but it was an excellent, excellent film.
Awesome. Well, Michelle, you saw a film this week?
Yeah, this morning I snuck out and watched Hidden Figures. Because, Bobby had it. It was his number one film for the year. So I've been wanting to see this film anyways. And so, I was curious about it. But when Bobby put it at number one, it really piqued my interest. And then it had some Golden Globe nominations. And so I was like, okay, this is what's up. So, yeah, Hidden Figures is about 3 African-American women working at NASA during the 60s, early 60s. And just, there's just so much to this film. There's so much about women's rights, about civil rights. It's just so many layers and levels to the whole thing as it develops. And yeah, it's really enjoyable. This is a film that as you sit in the theater, like I not at any point in time felt the movie was lagging. And it was like at 2 hours and 15 minutes, this film. Like it wasn't a short movie at all. It just keeps your interest the whole time. And the conversation, while it's dealing with very heavy topics, at no point does it feel weighted and just forced upon you. It's very like, this is what they encounter and this is how they have to deal with it, because it's just a matter of fact. It's just life. That's just how it is. And so, but you're also watching just the development of the story of really, also the space program at the same time during this, So you're seeing it, figure out how it all kind of works out. And then just the women's roles in the aspect within the workplace, within life, within the social norms of everything, and just seeing it all kind of play out. It's a fabulous story, and it's done really well. It's told well. The acting is really great. Everybody's performances are quite good, I thought. And it was enjoyable from beginning to end. I recommend it highly for anyone to go see. I don't know if I would have put it in my top 10, but it's definitely, it was good. It was really, really good.
Awesome. Yeah, I want to see it. I'd like to see it in the theater, so I'm going to attempt it, but
I would recommend it. The music is really good. There's this lovely integration of, mid-century music and Motown and today's music. Like it just integrates and melds perfectly throughout the film, that it doesn't feel too jarring. Like at one point you're listening, you're like, wait, that's like a newer song. That's a Pharrell song. And then you're like, yeah, there's Sam Cooke. Yeah. Or, there's Ray Charles. And then you're like, oh wait, that's a newer song. Like it takes you a while to even realize that that's what you're listening to. And you're like, oh, this just kind of just works out really well. So it kind of mends all the way through. And yeah, no, it feels, like I said, even though it's very serious and heavy topics, at no way does it make you feel like it's just shoving it down your throat or really making you feel like, God, this is so depressing. I mean, there's parts where, yeah, you're like, oh my God, that's so effing frustrating. And it's just like, it's hard for me to envision dealing with that, you know, in so many spectrums and levels. But at the same time, you're just like watching this woman go through this and challenge things, but with such grace and such spectacular intelligence the whole way through. It was a very well done film, and it was a very well done story, and I think it was told perfectly well. So I totally recommend it.
Very cool.
That's cool.
Well, that's what we've watched this week. A few things to talk about.
Oh my gosh. I can't wait till February and there's nothing to talk about. Yay!
God, it's so annoying that we have all these movies to discuss.
So many movies to talk about. I mean, there's films that I know you watched before New Year's that you haven't talked about, and I watched that Bob, like, we saw so much.
Yeah.
I know all of us saw so many films that last week.
I mean, luckily, most of mine made my list, so I'd already
right.
pretty
I was
much
gonna say
covered them.
most of mine made my list too. So it's like, but yeah, it's like if we sat here and reviewed every single thing we watched, we would be here for hours.
Yeah, I mean, I mentioned this last week. I'm curious to go back and try to remember what I watched when I binged movies the week before the episode last year, because I know nowhere near as many of them made my top 10 that year. And they were good movies, I remember. But I remember ending the week being like, yeah, these were all good for the most part, but I mean, they weren't as good as I was kind of hoping they would be or expecting. And this week this year was like, man, this is a lot of good stuff like that I missed when I was kind of busy doing a lot of things this year and missed a lot of movies. But
I feel like that's kind of how my week went. It was very mixed.
Yeah.
Like there was some really good. I felt like it was really two opposite ends of the spectrum. I felt like I was watching really, really great things or really not good things. Like, for instance, I won't get into this, but The Lobster, Sweet Baby Lord, that movie is atrocious. And I knew it was weird and wonky going into it because obviously it's a very bizarre premise.
right.
And I'm cool with bizarre premises. It was horrifically done. It was just not good. But it's like you watch a film like that, and then I watched Jackie, and I loved it. You know, it's like I was just watching very total
kind of
ends
all over the place.
All over the place, and so it was really bizarre. I don't know.
Yeah.
Weird.
You were going to say something, Bobby?
Yeah, I was going to ask, do you think that if you think about the movies you binged last year and then the ones from this year, if you were to take it outside of the bubble and you watched those movies when they first came out and then you had that time in between, that buffer, that space to sort of let it sit with you a little bit more, that maybe you would have come out of it feeling the way that a lot of the critics and audiences think of them when they came out at the time? Or does it not matter that you go from one and then watch the next and don't really have a lot of time to just sort of have it sit with you?
No, I think it totally matters. I think I mentioned that last week too, that I'm like, as much as I had fun watching all these great movies, like one after another, like it was emotionally kind of crazy, kind of what you were just saying, Michelle, watching back and forth between good movies or bad movies or just very different movies. But I definitely like to be able to I think it's important for me to be able to sit back and digest a movie afterwards and have time to let it sit with me. And yeah, who knows? Maybe if I had seen The Witch earlier in the year, like back when it came out, maybe by this time I'd be looking back at it after a few months going, you know what? That was a really great movie. Like that has to be at least somewhere on my top 10, you know, but that's probably the best example of one that I could see, you know, if I had more time to consider The Witch, it might be different. And also, if it were a perfect world, I'm a firm believer of seeing movies more than once, like especially movies I really liked, because I usually find that if a movie I liked, I see it again, I tend to like it even more and appreciate them even more. And if I could have seen every movie in my top 10 twice, you know, they could have been definitely a slightly different order. Like, but yeah, that definitely wasn't happening in a week. So, yeah, I would love to be able to see all these films that we see twice before we do our weekly reviews, like we're about to do.
Yeah, I'd like to do that too.
That would be lovely.
Yeah, it would be lovely
it's
if it were possible.
Really not realistic, but
Yeah.
that would be lovely.
Yes.
I agree. Because then you
Not
get
unless
to
we had
movies,
screeners.
right? Well, then you get to movies like our feature review, and that's just not possible. The length of time of the film and how
Yeah.
many hours that are free in a week.
Right,
Like,
exactly.
It was a struggle just to find the time to see this one.
Right, exactly. But yeah, with that said, it's time to move on to our featured review. So yeah, that is some of the trailer from Silence. This was directed by Martin Scorsese. It stars Andrew Garfield, Adam Driver, and Liam Neeson. This is apparently a passion project for Martin Scorsese. He's been working on for quite some time. From my understanding, I think it's been in development since around 1990. Not long after he came out with another religious film that had a lot of people talking. That was The Last Temptation of Christ. This has been getting pretty good reviews, and so now I'm really curious to hear what you guys thought of it. As always, we'll talk about this film spoiler free. We'll probably get into some spoilers later on. If we do, don't worry, we will give you plenty of heads up before we do that, so you will be warned. I will, of course, consult the bowl to see who goes first here.
Bowl of Destiny.
That's a different take on the Bowl of Destiny. The Bowl of Destiny.
Doesn't sound very formidable there. It just sounds very...
You know what? One just jumped out of the bowl, so I'm just going to take that one.
Oh, God.
And it's Michelle.
Of course it is.
Yay!
The bull has come back. It's officially a new year.
This one just like hopped out. It was like, nah, come on. The bull is dying to hear what you thought of Silence.
You know, and it's a shame because I really, God, I really kind of was hoping to go, at least second, if not third or last, because I really
fifth or seventh.
Yeah, I really wanted to hear what you guys thought, and not that your thoughts would sway me. I just feel like I'm not going to agree with the thought process that everybody else is going to have. I've got a feeling, but anyways,
you never know. What's fun about this?
Here's the thing, and I'll say this, and I'm going to have to premise basically my thought process from here on out. I actually have. So I saw this the other night, and I've been trying to process it and think about it and figure out the words in which to use and to make a very eloquent, way to talk about this film. And I'm kind of at word loss this time. And I wish I wasn't. But so anyway, so I've kind of been reading a lot of other reviews. And as David said, reviews for this film are actually pretty sparkling. It's pretty high on Rotten Tomatoes. I forget where I just saw it, but it was at 92%, is it? 84%. And then audience score is 72. So, I mean, it's high. It's very highly rated. People are enjoying this. It's been nominated for stuff. So I guess you guys probably know where I'm going with this. So I had to take some people's thought processes and reviews. And so I'm actually kind of going to use what they said because they somehow figured out the way I was feeling and thinking and actually was able to put it into words. So the one that kind of really stuck out the best for me is that this is the sort of film this is not the sort of film that you like or don't like. It's a film that you experience and then you live with. Now I will say that was a sparkling review, but I feel it reflects my feelings more, which are negative. Because I was not a fan of this film.
Okay.
I'll just come out and say it. The other one that really got me is for those not exalted by the inner workings of devotion, it's a slog. And that's kind of how I felt the whole film. And I mean, I have a Catholic background. I'm not a religious person in my adult life. And I'm open to different religions and ideas of theology. And I feel that people should be the same way. So watching something like this was very boring for me, and it was frustrating for me to sit and watch something like this. And I just felt like I was literally just counting minutes for this film to end. It was not, the pacing was exhaustively slow. And part of me understands it because of, the film's title says it, Silence, and there's so many different levels to that. And so I'll give Scorsese that much nod for this one, is that there's the silence that the main characters are not getting from God. There's the silence of being the isolation that they are on another couple many levels. That just kind of goes on, but there's too much, in my opinion, there's too much of an introspective stillness to this film, and it just bored me to tears, and I didn't like it. And I really wish I can have better phrasings for my not liking it, but I just feel like I'm a 5-year-old saying I don't like it because I just didn't like it.
Yeah, cool.
So that's what I got.
All right, what you got?
Wow.
See,
she sounds like she sounds like you, David. She sounded like you.
I mean, and it's like
talking about.
Yeah, like Manchester by the Sea. It's something like I felt bad talking about it first, Manchester by the Sea, and now I'm like, I feel bad talking about this one first because I'm gonna be the person that's gonna be like, nope, and everybody's gonna be like, you're effing crazy, Michelle. Like, I feel like that's what always seems to happen.
Why do you always
do
that?
Yeah,
like,
that's what I always feel like. I always feel it's like even the critics.
And if your feelings are your feelings, it's like it doesn't matter whether we agree or disagree. It's like I like that you're gonna be honest and not just try and go with what you think other people want to hear. I think it's great that you just may not like something that everybody else is liking. So just be strong within your opinion and just tell it like it is. So
right. I mean, and nothing's gonna sway my opinion. It's really just more just like, oh, I'm like, why am I the one that's gonna go? Because I didn't like it. I just feel like it always sets a tone, kind of. But and it's just like with Manchester. There's a part of me that's like, man, everybody's liking it. What's wrong with me? Like, it makes me think there's something like it's me again, and maybe it is me. Maybe that's what it is. But I'm definitely not going to change my opinion on this film. I don't think anything is going to ever make me change my opinion. I don't think I'm ever going to watch that film ever again. So, yeah, no. Anyways, Bullet Destiny.
Bullet Destiny picked me next.
Yes.
Who was that? The quote you read off at the beginning. Who was that?
Oh God!
I thought you had it like right in front of you on your iPad
I didn't
there.
put the person's name. I'm so sorry.
That's
that
okay.
was very rude of me.
But what was the quote again?
I should have quoted it. Oh, I can read the quote again. Because like I said, this quote was for in a positive review, whereas I kind of was like, I can take that almost as a negative for me. So the quote is, "This is not the sort of film that you like or don't like. It's a film that you experience and then live with." And while I'm saying I didn't like it, I just felt like for a while I was just living with it. Like it was just sat in my head for hours. But I didn't like it. So even though they said that, I'm still saying I don't like it.
Okay.
I know. I realize that's very like. Anyways.
No, I like the quote. I guess I kind of feel the same way in terms of this is a movie I do feel like everyone. It's definitely a movie worth experiencing. I think it's worth experiencing in a theater. Because it's the kind of movie that, and it's been said by the people that I feel like you should experience it with your full attention in this day and age. And people usually watch things at homes and there's second screening on their phone or a tablet at the same time. Like, really don't do this. This is the kind of movie you don't do that with, for sure. I'm the one that tries to never do that with any movie, but for sure, this is a movie that deserves your full attention. I enjoyed it quite a bit. So I'll say that right off the bat. I'm not saying it's perfect. I will say I kind of have a problem with the way the film ends, and I'll get to that in spoilers. But the film definitely seems to take a side, if you will. And I thought that was kind of unfortunate. I will say, and I'll be completely honest, like in terms of a religious background for me, I mean, I went to Christian school through like third grade. I do not identify as Christian now. I mostly probably just identify as an atheist at this point. And, but at that same time, I mean, I am very fascinated by religion and find it thoroughly interesting. That's why I like seeing movies like this. But I kind of was hoping as the movie was playing out that it would end with more of an ending that you would just kind of walk away with and kind of interpret yourself. And this didn't feel that way. It definitely felt like as it ended, it, like I said, kind of took a side in this debate about whether or not, you know, you have these priests that are going to Japan to try to, you know, bring Christianity to Japan, and Japan doesn't want it. And there's definitely times that as I'm watching it, I am kind of siding with Japan on a lot of things. And don't get me wrong, there's things that the Japanese do in this film that's very terrible. And of course, I'm not siding with those kind of things at all. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I really enjoyed the experience. It was nice to see, too, that there's a lot of these scenes where the Japanese aren't just treated like full-on villains. I mean, they, you know, have these debates with, you know, a priest, and it's like they're somewhat understanding their position. You know, it's not just like, no, you're evil, get out kind of thing. And it was kind of nice to see. But overall, I enjoyed the movie a lot. Again, I don't think it's perfect. I don't have more to say in spoilers, but I thought it was a good film, and I would definitely recommend someone see it in the theater. Yeah, it's lengthy. But and if you're the kind of person that doesn't enjoy just like a slower pace, dialogue heavy experience, those people, it's probably not for them. But I liked it a lot. It was visually a great movie. Oh yeah, I don't know. I liked the film. So, moving on to the next victim, and that would be Bobby.
I can totally see where Michelle's coming from within the aspect of not knowing exactly how to talk about this film, because it is something that you kind of it just have to experience as you sit there and watch it. And I think if you're going to go see a Martin Scorsese film, you kind of know to a certain degree what you're getting yourself into. He isn't a quick shot type of director. He is someone that takes his time when he's telling a story, and usually his movies are pretty lengthy to be able to tell a complete story. And I think the thing that I gathered or took from this movie as a whole, it's hard for me to say I enjoyed this movie because of the word enjoy. It's such a it lends to your mind a certain sort of thought when you say enjoyed. But I appreciated this film, and I was glad to have seen it because in a way, in movies that can inform me of something that I didn't know and do it in a way that pulls me into it to where I'm there watching and engaged, I always can appreciate and like from that standpoint and that viewpoint. And I thought that that's what this movie did really well. That it really shows you this conflict between what Japan has and what they want versus what the religion and ideals behind Christianity would be for, which is to spread their beliefs and to get people to be able to see what they see, which is part of what the problem with religion is in general, is that you have these people that are devout in their belief of their religion, and so they want in a way to enlighten people, but it's the way they go about it that is always the debatable aspect. And it's like, should you force your religion on someone if they don't want it? Should that be something that they should be allowed to just say, I see what you're saying, but we don't want this, and take it somewhere else, essentially? And how do you go about doing that? In the case of Japan, they do it in a way that I don't think most people would agree with. But as David said, you can kind of get the sense of like what they're saying is that this is the way we want our world. There may be others out there that don't, but this is from an overall standpoint how we're going to treat it. And this is, you have to respect that because you're coming to our land, our country. And so there's an interesting aspect in it, into the way this is being told and how you see certain things play out. And I think that's what really captivated me as I'm watching the movie, because you see the struggle on both sides of each trying to essentially force their will upon what the people should be able to do and believe, regardless of what the people may want and or what they need. And so that's really kind of why I think I did like it, is because of that. And also because of the performances by Andrew Garfield, or the performance by Andrew Garfield, I should say. Adam Driver was fine, but I don't know that he was necessary in the movie as Adam Driver. I mean, it seems like it could have been any actor that did that portrayal, that role. But the real draw for me was Andrew Garfield. And I gotta say, honestly, between that and Hacksaw Ridge, I think I would safely say that Andrew Garfield would be like my VIP of 2016 in acting, because he just does such a wonderful job here. And he really keeps you engaged in the movie for the entire time, because there is times where you would think, oh, this is a little slow, let's speed this up. But it's with Andrew Garfield and sticking with his character, rightfully so, throughout the film, that really keeps you engaged and wanting to see where this character ends up. And it's an interesting take and an idea and part of Japan history that I didn't really know about. So it was, I really appreciated it from that aspect.
Well, Yasha, that leaves you. What did you think of Silence? You just saw it this morning, right before the podcast, pretty much, right?
I did. I literally saw it today, just a few hours ago. It took up pretty much my entire morning. And Michelle, I think the quote that you read, I'm going to side with David there and just kind of say, like, I really feel like that's kind of how I feel about it. You just kind of experience it. Like, it's just there. I didn't particularly care for the movie. I thought it was slow. I thought it was needlessly long. I did think it was beautiful because there were some amazingly beautiful shots throughout the film, but that's a Scorsese trait and, his skill set and probably the countryside where they were shooting. I thought Andrew Garfield's acting was great until he opened his mouth in some scenes because it felt like his accent was coming and going. Adam Driver was really good. I thought their transformation into these characters, everybody was fantastic because, Adam Driver, I read, lost, I think, like 50 pounds for the role. You can clearly see that Andrew Garfield lost weight for the role, as did Liam Neeson. And their performances were fantastic. But, I've grown up religious. I was raised by a Catholic and a Christian. So I have religion. And even watching this, I kind of side with you. You said it best, David. It's like, I kind of found myself siding with the Japanese at certain points because I felt like it felt like they were almost forcing their religion onto these people. And they felt like it was their, that they were trying to instigate or instill, like, look, we're right. Buddha's wrong. At least that's kind of the tone that I got from the film in some parts of it. So I didn't particularly care for that because I don't feel like that's something that anybody has the right to do. But it was an interesting movie, and finding out that it was based off of a true story or true influences, it was still boring. Like I found it still just slow. Like when I knew the movie was going to be really, really long, I went into a 9:00 showing, and then I looked down at my watch, and the movie had been going for about 40 minutes, and it was only 10:00, and I was like, sweet Jesus, this is going to take forever. Like, and I was looking and checking my clock to find out how much longer am I going to have to endure of this story or this, this life of, Andrew Garfield's character and whatnot. I was ready to go about 45 minutes into the movie. Not to say that it was, that's what made it bad for me, but it was just okay. This is a movie that I'll never watch again. And I've seen religious movies before that I've enjoyed, but this one, I just found that it was long, very slow. The pacing seemed a little off. It was, I don't know. I wasn't a huge fan. Like, and I like Scorsese and I'll watch just about anything that he does. But, after watching this movie, I was like, wow, I never, ever have to watch that again. Thank God. And I was actually, pretty bummed when I walked out of it. It's not like something that was uplifting. It was kind of like, this is torrid and, this horrible story about people being forced, I'm not going to get into spoilers or anything like that, but, the torturing of people and whatnot. And it was intense, but it was an okay movie, but it wasn't anything that I would like. I don't think I would highly recommend it to anybody. I didn't hate it, but I wasn't walking out of it like, oh my God, I feel so moved. No, there was none of that.
Yeah, I can't say that I hated the film, like hated it, but it was just, the pacing was just so slow. It just took so long to convey this message. And it just, like, I kept looking at my watch. I kept looking at time going, oh, an hour and 40 minutes to go. Oh God, there's still 57 minutes to go. Oh, I still have 32 minutes to go. Like, I literally was counting down. Like, I was like, oh God, there's still 30 minutes to go. Yeah. And it wasn't like, I have to go to the bathroom. I can wait 30 minutes. It was like, oh God, there's still 30 minutes to go. And at the same time, and you guys have all said this, I will say, and again, it's the Scorsese part. It's shot beautifully. It's absolutely gorgeous. Even in some of the most disturbing scenes, it's just set up and layered properly, and it's done really well, and I will say that for what very, very teeny tiny itty bitty bit there is of score, it's also, I think, was right choices. It's very violin, very string, like dependent or heavy, I guess you could say. And so when it comes in, it's really well. And I do like that they use naturescape really to kind of set the mood, like the sound of the ocean or the sound of the birds or even just people themselves and their communications are kind of the backdrop for the sound for this. Yeah. And so, yeah, I think that's done really well. Like, I can't not deny that in any way, shape, or form. But, I mean, the story just didn't pull me in any way. I felt like I was constantly thinking... And again, like, I really enjoy religions and different religions and learning about them. I'm actually quite fascinated by them and theology and kind of seeing different viewpoints and different idealisms to all of this. But at the same time, like, I just sat there the whole time going, yeah, I'm with Japan on this one. Like, it just, I'm like, and that's because I don't agree with the way religion was done throughout history. Like, historically, I think it's all just been, anyways. That's totally not the point. Well, it is kind of, but it's not.
I mean, I will say though, I don't think the movie is trying though to. I mean, even though I did say I feel like the movie takes a side at the end, it's not my impression that throughout this film that it was trying to be a fully Christian movie and that, hey, this is why it was a good thing that they were going to do this. So the idea of like, hey, and I said the same thing, that there were times where I was sympathetic for the Japanese cause, that I don't think that was I don't think Scorsese was going for the opposite necessarily. Right. So I don't know.
I think it was trying to bring up both sides to the argument of religion being dispersed throughout different nations. I think it really tried to reflect that in certain ways. But let's get into spoilers because my goodness, I'm excited.
I mean, I will say, right before we jump into spoilers, like if it weren't for the way this film ends, and I'll probably jump right into that as we go into spoilers, there's an extremely good possibility it would have been in my top 10.
Oh, that's right, because you were kind of thinking, like, I wish I had seen this before. Yeah, that's right.
And I never like to go back and, like, alter my top 10 after we do it. I mean, hey, it's done, and I'm not going to change it. But, I will say, like, if it weren't for that one thing, I'd be shocked if it wasn't in my top 10. I thought it was a pretty incredible movie. We'll go into spoilers now then. So for anyone who hasn't seen Silence, we'll be talking about Silence and all of its details from here on out. So you will be spoiled. And I'll just start off by saying, for me, I just so wish, and I thought it was going to happen as I was watching it, that at the scene toward the end of the film, when Andrew Garfield's character apostatizes finally, that was going to be the end of the film. And I really, really wish it had been. And it was a really powerful, powerful moment. I loved that scene a lot. And just because of it felt like this moment where it was almost a realization of like Christianity and this religion isn't about like we're right and they're wrong. And it's not about like following all the rules. And it's not about kind of going onto the edge of being somewhat of a fundamentalist Christian. It's about like just doing the right thing. And if doing the right thing is, stepping on this tablet in this instance, then, you should do it. Like, we're talking about the lives of other human beings here. And I really enjoyed that. And then we had this, what I guess kind of felt like a prologue at the end. And, it felt like that way a lot too, because you had it narrated by a character that we were just introduced to and hadn't been in through the whole movie. So in a way, it felt like just kind of like, oh, this is a little add-on. Like, hey, what happened afterwards, just in case you wanted to know. But I really wish I had been there, because it did feel like it was kind of taking a side in this debate, and that I didn't care for. But I really wish it had ended right after that moment. If it had ended there, I would have been much, much happier.
Yeah, I see what you're saying, because it's like, I mean, I don't know. I felt that it kind of, I liked the wrap up a little bit, because it kind of showed where this guy was going and what had happened to him after the events. And you said it best, is just, you said it right, I should say, is just, it was just in the movie. He says it, one of his chastisers or captors says it to him. He's like, it's just a formality. Like, it's almost as if he was acknowledging like he believes what he believed. But he's like, it's just a formality. It's just an action that needs to be done.
Yeah, like, hey, buddy, you can continue to be a Christian in your mind. Like, it's fine. Like, we're not going to rip it out of your soul. Like, just
we have no control over what it's almost
actually
like
said a few times throughout the film.
Yeah, it's like, but that scene right there, like when you said, is like, he just literally like whispers it to him. It's almost like, look, man, we can't take it away from you. We can just make it look like we've taken it away from you, and that's all we really want to do. And I thought that was really well done. And like you, I thought that was a great scene. I mean, there were parts of it when I was really into like watching and seeing what was going to happen, but that was a great scene in itself.
I think for me, it was just frustrating to watch Andrew Garfield's character go through this whole film, and it's just, he's doing all of this because of faith, and it just didn't come across a lot of the times to me as faith. And actually, the Japanese guy even said it. He's like, he's so prideful. It's this pride more than anything that holds him down the entire time, and he lets tons of people die before he finally gives in. It's like, how prideful are you of this moment? Like, you can, and like you just said, like, you could still hold on to your faith, just step on the damn stone. Like,
yeah,
you're little, and it's like, but and I'll just go through my quick little rant of things that just drove me insane through this film. That just drove me nuts. The pridefulness of the character, which I guess is the whole point.
I was going to say that's the point, though. I mean, you're saying it like it's a negative of the film, but I mean, that's what we see that this character go through, and that's one of the things I like about it.
But it's just so frustrating. It's just so frustrating to me. But I think the other thing is there's just so many moments where I'm watching this, and honest to God, I was just trying not to laugh. Like, it was just so silly sometimes. Like I don't, the Jesus imagery popping up, and then actually God speaking at points, and then like the almost over exaggerated silliness of the, I want to say inspector, the Japanese guy who's in charge of the whole thing, the Inquisitor. Thank you. And like, I realized that he's supposed to kind of be a quirky character, but it was almost just done way too over the top for me. I was just like, this is ridiculousness. Like, I can't even handle it. Now, mind you, I say that, and then the guy that was like, I guess in his way, his like right hand man, the guy who spoke really well English really well, the interpreter. Like, I love the way his character was done, because it's like, you want to like him, but he's, I don't know. It's like he kind of goes back and forth, and then like I had a hard time even in some of the most dramatic parts of the film really connecting and being kind of saddened by it. It was kind of like, yep, they're gonna burn him alive, yep, that's gonna happen. Like, but it wasn't like emotionally like overly enthralling. It was just kind of like, yeah, that's happening, that's what's up. Like the entire beach scene with Adam Driver, and Adam is screaming and yelling, and for some reason he's still hanging out on the beach, and then you've got Andrew being like held back by the guards, and it just felt like that didn't come across powerful to me in any way. Like, I just felt like, I don't know, it just felt kind of meh in a lot of times. I don't know. I just have, the film just didn't do it for me. Like,
you mentioned something I was going to ask though. I mean, because this is not how I interpreted it, but I'm understanding that some people are interpreting that basically did Scorsese decide to basically have God take a part in this film and actually speak. And that's not how I saw it, but it seems like you thought of it that way.
Well, I thought of it as maybe just he finally had the internal voice kick on in his head. Like, once he finally silenced himself and his pride, then it happens. But I feel like in reviews and other things, it's really more like they feel like the voice of God finally talks to him. And for me, it's more of a mental thing. For me, it's more like he finally silenced himself and his pride enough to let the inner voice finally talk to him.
And that's how I feel about it, because I've heard that argument now that, they hate the fact that basically Scorsese gave God a voice in this and basically made him a character. And I did not take that away from it at all. And I disagree with that. I mean, I guess if you had a chance to ask Scorsese, I don't know what he would say.
I have no idea.
I mean, to me, it's, this character is going through a lot. There's times where he sees this imagery in the water of Jesus on his face. And I mean, at this point, this guy is probably, kind of slightly going insane. He hasn't had any water.
Food, water, I mean, human contact.
And same with the voice. Yeah, I felt like that was just, something internal. I wasn't imagining it as this literal, like, God is speaking to him right now. Like, I mean, and we could go into a theological like conversation about that, but we're not. I just didn't look at it that way. I was just curious what you guys thought.
It's weird because it's like I feel like there's a part of me that's like, it's, the characters like true faith speaking out to him in his head, finally saying it's okay, like let go of your pride, it's fine, like you're saying it's a formality, like that's basically what he says to himself.
Right.
But I feel like if that was finally going to be that moment, like why even use a whole nother voice? Which is why people are like, they gave God a voice. It's like, it shouldn't be.
That's how I take it too.
Yeah,
but I would imagine
thing.
in his head it would be a different voice, and I'd still stick with that point of view. Like, I don't.
But then you're asking the audience to make that leap as well. That
right.
Exactly.
In his head,
that's exactly what I think the audience is doing, because
that's
that's exactly what I did. I mean, I made that leap that, hey, he would probably have a voice for God in his head. Like, I don't think that's crazy to think that. In fact, that's what I did. Like, I had that experience when I watched the movie. Like, I was not imagining like, oh, Scorsese is definitely taking a stance of like, yes, God exists. Like, I don't necessarily think he is blatantly saying that.
No.
And I think that's what you guys or a lot of people are saying, that he is taking the stance of, yes, God exists, and I'm making him a character. I don't think that's what Scorsese is.
I don't think that's what Scorsese is doing. Like I said, I feel like it's just good. It's interpreted as God. And like, I there's a part of me that knows that that's not what he's doing, but there's a part of me that's like, then why even give him a completely different tone? Like, that's what it's like. You're losing the message of Andrew's character finally, like, again, letting go of his pride and just realizing like, I just need to do this. I'm not actually, like you said, taking out a part of my soul, of my faith and my belief. And yeah, it's like it finally clicks in his head, but it's like to give it a whole nother voice is basically, in my interpretation, is basically saying, well, that's God talking to him. I mean, that's just, I don't know. I mean, like, I get it. Like, I get that's not, it just feels like that's what they're doing. I'm not wording this quite right.
I mean, I feel like you're saying two different things, but I feel like you're taking the point of view that he is saying God is speaking to him.
I think that's what it really kind of is in his head, that he feels like it's God. Like, I feel that I know it's really Andrew Garfield's character inner voice saying, God, I just can't, like, I'm trying to express this. Like, I know that's him finally, like, letting go of all the stuff he's like, he's finally just like, okay, I just need to do this. But I think that he feels that it was God talking to him, especially because it happens yet again a few minutes later.
You think his character feels that way?
Yes.
Well, yeah, I would think that too. But we can move on.
We need to move on from this.
Yeah, I mean, but that's all I've got, really. Anybody got anything else?
I'm out.
Oh, that's it.
I've exhausted it. Everybody's done now.
Bobby, any thoughts? Anything to add?
Nothing really to add. I mean, like I said, I liked it. I didn't think of anything beyond that, anything that was spoilerish. It wouldn't have made my top 10, but I did like it. And even to echo some of what Michelle and Yasha have said, I don't think it's a movie I would ever watch again. But for the time that I saw it, I did appreciate it and take in what they were giving as the message. And the voice of God thing, it's I guess I don't know, it's debatable in a certain sense, but I think that either way, the message of what was being said was the more important aspect to get out of it, rather than who was saying it. But yeah, that's pretty much all I have.
And I totally agree with David. If you are going to go see this film, definitely see it in the theater. It's completely worth your time in that sense, because visually it's stunning. And I think that that's the way that you should be experiencing this film. I think to experience it at home, you're just not going to, unless you have a home theater. I mean, you're just not going to pull as much out of it, I don't think.
Right. All right, well, with that, we're going to go ahead and get out of here. As always, we'd love to hear what you thought of the show and everything we've talked about. You can let us know by emailing us at feedback@flickereffect.com. You can also find us on Facebook, Google+, Twitter. You can find links to those accounts over on our right-hand side. Next week, we will most likely be reviewing The Founder. I believe it's getting a wide release next weekend. So that'll be our feature review next week. With that, I'm David Lott.
I'm Bobby Jackson.
I'm Yasha Wilson.
I'm Michelle Curry.
Thanks for listening.